Imagine this: shelves stripped bare, trucks no longer rolling, and neighbors pounding on doors for scraps. In that moment, your gold rings, your silver coins, even your thick wallet mean nothing. You can't eat them, you can't drink them, and you can't trade them for warmth when the cold sets in. What people will fight for are the things you ignore today, the throwaway items sitting in dollar stores, gathering dust because they seem too cheap to matter. But in collapse, those $1 items transform into survival currency, more powerful than gold. The man with a sack of rice might not care about your jewelry, but offer him soap, matches, or a working lighter, and suddenly, the deal is yours. Because history has shown it in every famine, war, and blackout, value shifts. Luxury dies, necessity rules. Stay with me, because we're exposing the $8 store items that will trade like gold when the world shuts down. Number 1, sewing kits and safety pins. When most people think of survival, they imagine knives, fire starters, or stacks of canned food. Nobody thinks of a tiny sewing kit or a handful of safety pins from the dollar store. They look too small, too fragile, too ordinary. But here's the truth. In a collapse, these simple tools can become barter gold worth more than you ever imagined. Think about it. When stores are gone, there are no new clothes, no new tents, no gear replacements. Every rip, tear, or broken strap becomes a serious problem. A torn jacket in freezing weather? That's not fashion, that's hypothermia waiting to happen. A ripped backpack strap on a supply run? That's not an inconvenience, that's a disaster. And here's the betrayal. Our society treats clothing as disposable. But in survival, durability is wealth. A sewing kit repairs what can't be replaced. With a few stitches, a torn coat keeps someone warm another winter. With a safety pin, a broken pack strap stays together for one more supply run. That single repair is worth food, batteries, even medicine to the person who needs it. And the danger doesn't announce itself. You won't hear fabric splitting until it's too late. You won't see a bag strap weaken until it snaps. You won't feel the cold cut through you until your only jacket is lying in shreds. History proves it. In war zones and refugee camps, needles and pins traded higher than jewelry. A working coat, a fixed boot, a bag that carried supplies, these weren't luxuries. They were survival. Stack the uses: sewing kits, patch clothes, repair tents, reinforced packs, even stitch bandages. Safety pins double as fasteners, fishing hooks, even makeshift tools for shelter building. They're light, cheap, and overlooked today, but priceless tomorrow. The solution? Don't ignore them. Stock sewing kits and bags of safety pins in your survival stash. Keep extras sealed, because when collapse hits, they won't just keep your family alive. They'll become barter currency that others will beg for. Because survival isn't about the biggest weapon. It's about the smallest tools that hold your world together. Number 2, aluminum foil. Walk past any dollar store shelf, and you'll see aluminum foil stacked cheap and endless. Most people only think of it as something to wrap leftovers in. But in collapse, when survival hinges on what you already have, aluminum foil becomes more than kitchen scrap, it becomes barter gold. Foil is one of the most versatile survival tools you can own. Light, cheap, and overlooked, but when the system falls, its uses multiply in ways that make it worth more than cash, even more than silver. Start with cooking. Foil lets you wrap food and drop it straight into the fire without losing heat or moisture. No pots, no pans, no problem. Foil turns raw supplies into meals. Next, water. Fold foil into a makeshift cup or small funnel, and suddenly you have a container when bottles are gone. In a barter situation, that's priceless because clean water isn't just comfort, it's survival currency. Then there's protection. Foil reflects heat. Line a shelter wall or wrap it around a container, and you preserve warmth in winter or keep things cool in summer. Even a weak flame reflects brighter with foil backing, creating more light in the dark. For seniors whose eyesight struggles, that extra glow could mean avoiding a fall or injury. And the betrayal? Nobody thinks of it. People laugh at foil, crumple it, toss it aside. But in survival, a roll of foil trades for food, tools, even medicine, because once stores close, there's no replacing it. And the danger doesn't announce itself. You won't hear food spoiling without storage. You won't see water slipping away without containers. You won't feel the cold stealing your strength until you realize you had no way to hold in the heat. History echoes this truth. In wars and blackouts, foil scraps were hoarded for cooking, light reflection, even signaling. Survivors didn't care about its price tag, they cared about what it did. Stack the uses. Foil cooks food, stores water, reflects heat, boosts light, seals containers, and signals for help. It's multi-purpose, durable, and irreplaceable in collapse. The solution? Stock it deep. Dollar store foil may look cheap now, but when collapse hits, it becomes a survival treasure few will have thought to grab. Because when the world goes dark, even a crumpled sheet of foil can shine brighter than gold. Number 3. Superglue. On a normal day, a tiny tube of superglue feels disposable. It clogs, hardens, and gets tossed in the trash without a thought. But in collapse, when repairs mean survival and replacements don't exist, even a $1 tube of glue becomes barter gold. Superglue isn't just for fixing broken toys or cracked dishes. It's a survival tool hiding in plain sight, one that can repair gear, patch shelters, and even serve in first aid emergencies when nothing else is available. Start with gear repairs. In a world without hardware stores, broken knives, snapped handles, and torn shoes aren't minor problems, they're threats. A drop of superglue reinforces weak points, seals cracks, and buys your gear weeks or even months of extra use. That single repair could mean carrying supplies home instead of watching them scatter on the road. Shelters? Same story. A ripped tarp, a cracked bucket, a splintered piece of wood superglue bonds fast, giving you quick fixes when storms or cold won't wait. Survival isn't about perfection. It's about patching what you have until tomorrow. And here's the shocking twist. Superglue has long been used as a field medical tool. In Vietnam, medics carried it to seal battlefield wounds and stop bleeding until surgery was possible. In collapse, when hospitals aren't an option, a tube of glue could close a cut or stop blood loss long enough to save a life. And the danger doesn't announce itself. You won't hear gear fail until it breaks. You won't see shelter give way until the storm is on you. You won't feel blood loss draining strength until it's almost too late. This isn't theory. After earthquakes, hurricanes, and blackouts, survivors have used glue to seal leaks, repair gear, and even barter with neighbors desperate for a quick fix. A single tube traded for food or medicine because when collapse strips away supplies, repair becomes wealth. Stack the uses. Superglue repairs tools, fixes shelter, extends footwear, seals, leaks, and even doubles as emergency wound care. That's not junk. That's survival currency. The solution? Stock tubes deep, seal them tight, and rotate them. Fresh is best, but even old glue holds surprising power. Because when the world falls apart, survival isn't about what's shiny or expensive. It's about the small, forgotten tools that hold everything together. Number 4. Rope, twine, and clothespins. Walk into any dollar store and you'll find rope, twine, and clothespins tossed into the corner aisle. Cheap, ordinary, boring. Most people see them as laundry supplies or gardening junk. But in collapse, when survival depends on what you can tie, hang, or hold together, these $1 items suddenly become barter gold. Here's the truth. Rope and twine are survival essentials. In every collapse scenario, storms, blackouts, wars, the first thing people lose is structure. Tarps need fastening. Shelters need securing. Food needs hanging high to protect it from rodents. Without rope, everything collapses faster. Twine, though weaker, has its own survival value. It ties bundles, secures tools, and builds improvised snares for trapping small game. Light, compact, and endlessly useful, twine becomes a survival currency traded for food or medicine when people realize duct tape isn't enough. And clothespins? Most laugh at them until they're gone. In survival, clothespins dry clothes in damp shelters, hold gear together, and even clamp small repairs. Dry clothing means warmth, and warmth means life. For seniors, who lose body heat faster, that difference could decide everything. And the betrayal? Nobody stocks up on these. People grab canned food, batteries, or matches, but they leave the $1 rope behind, thinking it's worthless. When collapse hits, that oversight becomes your leverage. Because once the shelves are empty, people will trade almost anything for the means to hold their fragile world together. And the danger doesn't announce itself. You won't hear the tarp rip until rain pours in. You won't see food spoiled until rodents get to it. You won't feel your strength fade until wet clothes steal your warmth overnight. This isn't theory. In refugee camps and disaster zones, rope, twine, and pins are always among the most requested supplies. They don't look valuable on a shelf, but in crisis they decide whether shelters stand or fall. Stack the uses. Rope secures, twine ties, clothespins preserve clothing and morale. Together, They're not laundry tools, they're survival lifelines. The solution? Stock bundles now. Keep them sealed, dry, and ready. In collapse, they won't just keep you standing, they'll become the currency your neighbors beg for. Because when survival strips everything down, the world isn't held by gold, it's held by rope. Number 5. Cheap rain covers. At first glance, those flimsy dollar store ponchos look like a joke. Thin plastic folded into a packet smaller than your wallet. Most people laugh at them, toss them in the cart for a rainy ball game, and forget they exist. But in collapse, when warmth and dryness decide who gets sick and who survives, those cheap rain covers suddenly become worth more than gold. Rain isn't just uncomfortable, it's deadly. Wet clothing robs body heat up to 25 times faster than dry fabric. Hypothermia doesn't need snow, it can strike in a damp, windy night at just 50 degrees. For seniors, who lose body heat faster, one soaked jacket can turn into a medical emergency. In a world without hospitals, that's not inconvenience, that's a death sentence. This is where the humble poncho flips value. It keeps you dry when shelters leak. It protects packs and gear from soaking through. In barter, handing someone away to stay warm and dry is like handing them medicine. And in desperation, medicine trades higher than cash. But ponchos don't stop at rain. Cut and flattened, they become ground sheets to keep bedding dry. Layered together, they reinforce shelter walls against wind. Folded, they collect rainwater for drinking. Tied into strips, they bind gear or lash branches into a makeshift roof. What looked like a toy becomes a survival lifeline, and the danger doesn't announce itself. You won't hear hypothermia creeping in. You won't see gear rot until it's ruined. You won't feel your strength draining until your body shakes uncontrollably and refuses to move. History proves it. Soldiers, refugees, and disaster survivors have relied on nothing more than sheets of plastic to endure storms. The poncho became their shield, their blanket, their only line against sickness and exposure. Stack the uses. Rain covers keep you dry, preserve gear, turn into shelter walls, collect water, and even become barter currency. They weigh almost nothing, cost almost nothing, but when collapse strips away options, they rise in value above almost anything else. The smart move? Don't dismiss them as cheap toys. Stock them deep. Keep extras sealed, because when neighbors are desperate, you'll hold the one thing they can't find: protection against the storm. Because survival isn't about luxury. It's about staying dry, staying warm, and staying alive. And in collapse, a $1 poncho might buy more life than a pocket full of gold. Number 6. Notebooks, pens. In a world drowning in smartphones and screens, a notebook and pen feel old-fashioned. Most people see them as clutter, something for school desks or office drawers. But when the power grid fails, when batteries die and cell towers go dark, those cheap dollar store notebooks and pens transform into survival currency. Think about it. When digital systems collapse, memory becomes fragile. Maps vanish from apps, contacts disappear, voice notes and texts, gone. Suddenly, the ability to write, record, and plan isn't convenience, it's survival. A notebook becomes your hard drive. You can copy maps, sketch water sources, and log safe routes. You can track food supplies, ration schedules, and medical doses critical for seniors balancing multiple medications. A pen turns thoughts into strategy, confusion into order. And barter? Imagine two families trying to organize food or set up rotations for shared security. A notebook isn't just paper, it's a tool of trust. The one who controls records controls the plan. That makes a single $1 notebook more powerful than gold when structure breaks down. But writing tools go beyond planning. Notes become communication. Slip a message into a shelter, mark warnings on walls, or leave directions for loved ones. In collapse, when people are scattered and silence rules the streets, written words become lifelines. And the danger doesn't announce itself. You won't hear memory fade when stress clouds your mind. You won't see confusion until critical details are forgotten. You won't feel chaos spreading until miscommunication costs lives. History proves it. In wars, disasters, and blackouts, survivors relied on notebooks to track rations, write down contacts, and preserve knowledge. While gold sat useless in pockets, paper carried the instructions that kept people alive. Stack the uses. Notebooks record maps, track resources, log medical info, create barter records, pass messages, and preserve history. Pens aren't just writing tools, they're sharp objects, small markers, and barter items on their own. Together, they anchor survival in a world where memory alone won't be enough. The smart prepper doesn't laugh at cheap notebooks. They stockpile them, sealed against water, ready to trade or use. Because when collapse wipes away technology, the pen doesn't just become mightier than the sword, it becomes mightier than gold. And in the silence of a darkened world, those who can still write will be the ones who endure. Number 7. Cheap reading glasses. On the shelves of dollar stores, cheap reading glasses look like an afterthought. Thin frames, low-quality plastic, stacked in bins as if they barely matter. But in collapse, when survival demands clear vision, those $1 lenses suddenly become priceless. Vision is more than convenience, it's control. Try reading medication labels with blurry eyes. Try threading a needle to repair clothing when your sight fails. Try scanning for threats, or even lighting a fire when you can't see detail. For millions over 50, poor eyesight is already a daily struggle. In collapse, it can be the barrier between functioning and being helpless. A pair of cheap reading glasses changes everything. They restore clarity. They allow someone to read maps, track ration notes, and follow medical instructions. They let a senior sew a torn coat, repair a shelter, or load a weapon safely. In barter, handing someone the ability to see again isn't just charity, it's power. That single $1 item becomes worth more than food or batteries to the right person, and glasses don't stop at vision correction. Lenses double as fire starters, focusing sunlight into flame. Frames can be stripped for wire, screws, or even makeshift fishing hooks. What looks like fragile plastic is, in survival, multi-purpose gear. And the danger doesn't announce itself. You won't hear vision blur until it's too late. You won't see mistakes until misreading instructions turns deadly. You won't feel the collapse stealing control until you can't read the tools to save your life. History has shown it. In wars, prisons, and refugee camps, people traded food and medicine for glasses. Because without sight, even survival skills are useless. Knowledge, resources, and weapons mean nothing if you can't see to use them. Stack the uses. Cheap glasses restore vision, unlock critical tasks, ignite fire, and provide spare parts. They weigh almost nothing, cost almost nothing, but their barter value explodes when collapse strips away supply chains. The smart prepper doesn't ignore them. They buy extras in multiple strengths, sealed away for their family and for barter. Because when the world falls dark, the ability to see becomes wealth. And in collapse, a simple pair of $1 glasses might not just sharpen vision, it might sharpen the edge that keeps you alive. Number 8. Small tools. When shelves go empty and the system collapses, survival won't come down to stockpiles alone. It will come down to the tools in your hands, the small, overlooked instruments that repair, cut, and build when replacements no longer exist. And dollar stores are packed with them. Utility blades, screwdrivers, multi-tools, so cheap we barely notice them. But in collapse, these scraps of steel transform into barter gold. Think about it. A broken hinge on a shelter door leaves you exposed. A loose screw in a stove breaks your only cooking option. A snapped rope or jagged tarp needs trimming to keep the rain out. None of these can be fixed with cash or gold, only with the right tool. And in collapse, the one holding a blade or screwdriver holds the power to fix, rebuild, and survive. A utility blade isn't just for opening packages. It cuts rope, slices cloth for bandages, processes tinder for fire, and butchers small game. A screwdriver doesn't just turn bolts. It repairs gear, tightens improvised shelters, and even doubles as a defensive weapon in close quarters. These are the items that seem ordinary today and priceless tomorrow. And the betrayal? Nobody stockpiles them. People chase flashy survival knives or expensive gear while ignoring the cheap tools that do 90% of the real work. When collapse strips away replacements, those who grab dollar store blades will trade them like currency, and the danger doesn't announce itself. You won't hear the hinge creak until it snaps. You won't see the leak until your shelter floods. You won't feel the weakness until you realize one missing screw just cost you warmth, food, or safety. History echoes this. In every war, disaster, and blackout, the survivors weren't always the strongest. They were the ones who could repair what broke. A single screwdriver kept radios alive. A simple blade made wood shavings when matches were damp. Small tools saved lives while gold sat useless in pockets. Stack the uses. Blades cut, screwdrivers repair, tools barter for food, medicine, or security. Lightweight, durable, endlessly practical, they're survival leverage in pure form. The smart prepper doesn't laugh at cheap tools. They hoard them. They seal extras, ready for barter and backup. Because in collapse, the smallest tool might not just fix your gear, it might fix your chance to live. Now you've seen it for yourself. In a collapse, survival isn't about gold, silver, or stacks of cash. It's about the cheap, forgotten items sitting on dollar store shelves today, the tools, the gear, the lifelines that will trade higher than jewelry when everything else runs out. Think about it. A $1 poncho keeps someone dry when hypothermia lurks. A notebook records the map that guides your family to safety. A screwdriver fixes the shelter that shields you from the storm. Small, ordinary items worth more than gold when the system falls. The betrayal? Most people will walk past them today and pay any price tomorrow. Don't make that mistake. Hit like if this opened your eyes, and smash subscribe right now. Because the next video won't just reveal another secret, it might hand you the one tool that saves your family's life.